the Prison City Podcast. When the bars go up, you're officially locked in.
And welcome to the Prison City Podcast here, live from Deer Lodge, Montana. We have so many viewers coming in right now. This is our second episode. It's an amazing journey so far. 7 days, one of the best journeys you'll ever have in your entire life. Tonight, we got a very special show. We have a comedian. With Derrick Richards. So just a little background of Derrick Richards here. He was born in Dublin, Ireland, grew up in a very Irish family, and eventually moved to Butte, Montana, where he's been doing comedy the last couple of years. But most importantly, he's been a Vegas night fan since birth. So Derrick, tell me about your greatest memories as a kid growing up watching the Vegas nights.
I'll tell you, this city struggled. I mean, the first year, when they went to the Stanley Cup Finals, it was a long, hard 10 months to get to the Stanley Cup. And so, the suffering he went through until they finally were able to pull together and get to the big round was impressive. No, I'm a huge Detroit Red Wings fan. I'm from Detroit originally, but I've been out here in Vegas for 8 years and excited that a hockey team got out here, and it's been a blast.
That's awesome. Now, Jay Marsh, what do you have to say about that?
Man, I can't argue. They've been really competitive. Thankfully, the Blues was able to pull one out a couple years ago. Then before that, Ovi was able to come in clutch. And thankfully, most of my adult life, the Red Wings have been in a rebuilding franchise for the past, 10 years or so. So it's been nice to see after all my childhood memories of the Blues getting their butt whooped by the Red Wings in the Western Conference Finals.
Everything cycles around, man. It does. It's brutal watching the Red Wings now. It is just horrific. But no, the Blues got a great team, man.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, talking about horrific, how have those Seattle Kraken done lately? Mahoney, tell them to the stage.
First of all, really excited to be back. I'd like to thank our tens of fans who made us the number one podcast in Powell County. We got nowhere to go but up. The Kraken, really exciting times, undefeated right now. I think the fans are really buzzing out here. They're excited to get to the Crack House. That's what they're going to call the arena. So just really excited, and who knows the kind of puck sluts that are going to show up.
All right. Now we're going to kick it to Kelly Cutler, the CEO of Cutler Brothers Productions. Honestly, literally just say whatever you feel like.
Yeah, well, last week I said I was so nervous for my first podcast I was about to shit my pants. This week I was feeling a lot better until you told us the order we were going to go in, and then you completely threw the order backwards. So now I think I'm going to shit my pants again.
But you had time. You didn't go from last to first like I did.
Hey, guys, there's always a surprise.
That's why that was so witty. That's why that was so witty.
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I told you guys one thing. We did the complete opposite.
We did do that. We'll edit that in post, just like last week.
But I give you guys credit. Listen, Kelly is consistent. For the first 2 episodes, he has wanted to shit himself on both occasions. So I think what we really are learning a lot here is lack of bowel control, for one thing, and maybe a possible change of a menu.
Yeah. But anyways, we got Derrick Richards here. He's done doing comedy acts in Vegas forever. He's done trips through Afghanistan with the Uso entertainment tours and everything else. Derrick, if you just want to give a little bit of background of what you've actually done and not the bullshit story made up for you.
No, I've been out here in Vegas for 8 years. I was been doing comedy for 27. Before that, I was singing the national anthem at cockfights. And which is the first time I met Kelly when he shit his pants in between, I believe it was the 3rd and 4th fight. And Kelly had 100 on one cock that he thought was going to win. And it just got chewed up, and he just shit himself. And that was how he was able to get out of paying his bet, because nobody wants to collect money from somebody who shit their pants.
Now, Derrick, can I interject? Was
Absolutely.
this chickens or penises?
Well, it depended. Even numbered rounds were penises. Odd numbered rounds were actual chickens. So, and that shifted every time. So you really needed to, you didn't know what was happening. See, Patrick actually created the lineup for the cockfights. So when you thought you were seeing dicks in round one, and then all of a sudden chickens, you're like, oh, there's no dicks.
Yeah, when I showed up and it was chickens fighting, I was fucking pissed.
Man, back to that Vegas Knights jersey though. How about Andre Fleury? My God. Andre Fleury leaves the Pittsburgh Penguins, for anybody that doesn't know, goes to the Vegas Knights. I go to Pittsburgh that summer watching the Vegas Knights in the Cup. All I hear from Pittsburgh people like, I just want to see them win it for Fleury. Really? Fleury, the guy who did absolutely nothing for 10 years in Pittsburgh?
You know what cracks me up when everybody says that they want to have, oh, I want to see him win it for so-and-so. You know what? That guy's not sitting at home, looking at Mark Mahoney going into HR, having a discussion with his boss. There's no player in the locker room going, oh, I really hope Mahoney gets that gig as the new manager. Now, fuck those guys. Making $30 million a year. I don't give a shit what happens to you. I don't care if you're in the rink, you get hit in the face with a puck, and then your mom gets hit with the next one. I'm like, just play the stupid game. These people that get all sentimental and attached to some player who doesn't give a shit about you. It just cracks. Who can win it for Fleury? Shut up.
That is the best response I've ever heard.
It always cracks me up. There's always some veteran who played on a crappy team his entire life, and he goes to a good team. And the Penguins were a good team. There's no doubt about that. But I mean, it doesn't matter whatever sport you're in. And who was the guy that played for Boston all those years and then went to the Avalanche and won the Stanley Cup?
Ray Bourque.
I had a buddy of mine who said that. He goes, oh, I want to see him win it for Ray Bourque. And that's when I first came up with this whole little rant about, he didn't give a shit about you.
Oh, dude, what Ray Bourque, was it 22 years in the league before he won it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Ridiculous.
But yeah, anyways, it's so crazy you're doing your first comedy sketch in Deer Lodge, because Deer Lodge, I don't know if you knew this or not. You're a diehard hockey fan, obviously, but the owner of the Vegas Knights actually owns the big resort here in Deer Lodge, and we actually
the prison.
Yeah.
Well, the Vegas Golden Knights owner owns the prison up in Deer Lodge, Montana. That is that is so badass. I mean, I've heard of diversifying your portfolio, but hey, you know what? I bought a hockey team. You know what? Next on my list, prison. I'm checking off this bucket list.
Well, Derrick, it is a business, and I'd like to talk about that now.
Honestly, it's a really nice resort. They have free square meals. You can stay anywhere from 5 to life. The lights are always on at night. It's pretty nice out there.
Companionship whenever you want it.
Exactly. And you're only one drop bar of soap away from a really eye-opening experience.
From a cockfight. Like we discussed earlier.
Hey, Kelly, but seriously, tell them the story of how the Vegas Knights literally stayed Cutler Brothers Productions Theater.
Wow. Okay, let's go there. Well, we got the theater. You'll be Derrick Richards, Vegas coming in, comedian, coming in performing on Friday and Saturday at 8 p.m. And the owner of the Vegas Knights actually does own the Rock Creek Cattle Company right outside of Deer Lodge. It's a billionaires club. I went up there a couple months ago to hang out, and I couldn't find where I was going because I couldn't figure out which of the 3 homes I was going to that this one guy owned. So it's like crazy rich people up there. And the Vegas Knights owner, his wife came to our last performance of The Music Man in 2018. And I think I had just the perfect amount of alcohol and weed brownie because I gave a hell of a performance. And they fixed our leaky roof. They gave us like $15,000 to fix our roof that had been leaking for about a year straight.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so we got a big kudos to them. We have a debt of gratitude.
No, that's fantastic. It's always good hearing a a good story like that. I was waiting. As soon as you said I had the right amount of alcohol and weed brownie, I'm like, what did you do to the owner's wife of the Golden Knights?
We had a little cockfight of our own, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, hey, listen.
Man, that roof's about to be like gone.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna practice ice skating up on top of that bitch.
That's beautiful.
So Derrick, I have a question. You're a stand-up comedian, and I'm sure I'm always curious. As I have like your three. What's your first, your best, and your worst gig? Everyone remembers those three things in life, right? First, best, and worst. And
The
I
first
think
gig was I was in. Well, when I had started out, I was in Kalamazoo, Michigan. That's back in. You're going back to Thanksgiving weekend, 1993. The first time I went on stage, and I was scared shitless. And I knew the guy that ran the place. It was a little weekend comedy club, Friday and Saturday. And Kalamazoo, Michigan is located on the west side of Michigan. It's halfway between Detroit and Chicago. So the cool thing was, I got in there, and the guy that ran the place was super, super cool. Good friend of mine. I was in radio before I had started doing comedy. And so I said, hey, I'm interested in doing this. And he said, sure. He says, why don't you come on out? And he says, you can host the show. And so I was very fortunate. For the very first time that I was on stage as a comedian, I got paid for the gig.
Wow.
So I didn't have to go through, at that time, I wasn't going through like some open mic process. And because open mic nights are, can be horrific depending where you're at. I mean, it can be, you're doing comedy in between, some idiot singing some shitty Nora Jones song. And then all of a sudden it's some beatnik poetry. And now, hey, here's comedy. So and then even just regular open mic comedy shows can just be a nightmare too, because, the acts are, horrific. And then you've got to try to go up and, and make something out of nothing. So that was my first gig. My best gig has been probably a number of other shows that I've done with a group that I work with called the tour that I produce called the Irish Comedy Tour. And we've got a special now on Amazon Prime, but we've done a number of shows in some really, really cool theaters. So it's hard to pinpoint the favorite one of all those. I would say probably the show that we actually shot our special in, which was in Norfolk, Connecticut at Infinity Hall, which was just it was a packed house. It was just a great environment. I mean, all the cameras were going, and we just had an absolute blast putting that together. The worst gig, there's man, how long is your podcast? There's a shitload of those.
However long you need it.
Are you kidding me? Oh my God. There's one that sticks out. I'm going to tell you, it was they had the booking agent had us set up. We were doing a comedy show at this classic car show, and it's outside. And so the stage was like, remember the old show Hee Haw? It was like a barn, and then the front of it opened up. So the front of this barn opens up, and then right in front of us, there's like a flower bed. And then there's probably about 50 yards before the first people are sitting down. So right in front of the stage, there's like, and it's all ages. It's like, hey, you got to be clean, no swearing, no innuendo, no jokes about, sex or drugs or anything. I'm like, well, this is going to be a treat. And so there's kids like playing in this flower bed right in front of the stage. Swear to God. And so I go out there, and so I can't see like an actual adult. It's literally probably 50 yards out. And it's grass, and there's like music playing in the, off in the distance, somebody's playing Black Sabbath out of their car or whatever the hell it was. And there's a band that's going up after me, and they were in the back killing hornets and wasps. So all I can hear behind me is there's just this wall right behind me. And then right on the other side of the wall, all I can hear is this boom, boom. And then you hear like like that decon fogger that. So the audience can't hear this. I can hear this. So the guys in the band are killing wasps, spraying this pesticide, this fogger. So all I'm smelling is chemicals. And these kids are looking at me from this flower bed like I have a dick growing out of my forehead. Like, who are you? Why are you talking? Please go away. And I had to sit up there for, it was probably, I think it was a half hour. It was 30 minutes. And I came off stage and the band was sitting there clapping when I walked off, and they go, and it was summertime. I mean, I was sweating like a rapist. And I mean, I come walking off stage. The band just starts giving that slow clap like you see in the movies. And so, so I think I probably, ended up having some kind of lung cancer from the pesticide smell. But just hearing these guys killing wasps. And now I'm thinking, all right, there's wasps that are going to start attacking me because they're going to fly over this little wall that's only about another 1.5 feet above my head. So that sticks out as the worst.
Well, props to you for not just swearing, the whole way through it.
You just go into autopilot with that stuff. Like anything, you just you're like, okay, this is not going to get any better. These kids aren't going to go away. These wasps aren't going to die by themselves. And I'm just going to get through this. And it was, but you do any kind of a gig, and it's any kind of performance thing. When it's going great, it's going great. But I'll tell you what, when it's going slow, that second hand just moves like, and it's just an absolute nightmare.
It's nice to hear that, comedians that have really done some big things with their resume and everything have gone through shithole shows like that. Cause, all of us have been on stage as well. And it's just nice to hear that that's not just, germane to Deer Lodge, Montana, or one little segment of society,
It doesn't matter where you go. I mean, you can have a nightmare performance. You talk to anybody, I don't care who it is, any comedian out there. Doesn't matter whether it's somebody like a Bill Burr, Jerry Seinfeld, Ray Romano. I mean, they've all got those stories, and they've got a ton of them. I guarantee they've got a ton of them.
So yeah, one of my biggest questions for you is like, I saw your resume and everything, is like, what were the shows with the Uso Tour, and what were the shows like going overseas and doing the shows for the troops and everything, like in Afghanistan and everything else?
It was great. I mean, it was a fantastic experience. I mean, I had to learn Farsi because we were doing shows for the Iraqi forces, which was difficult. You got to learn Rosetta Stone on the way over there, and make them happy.
Impressive.
That was you got to read the itinerary completely. That's the lesson I learned there. Oh, it's not our troops. Oh, well, fuck me. Okay, that's not. So no, it was a fantastic experience. I mean, you get a whole new level of respect for what these men and women go through over there. And we were doing shows like on, it wasn't a classic comedy stage. There were times we were standing in a parking lot, and they had a speaker set up on a chair next to us, and the troops that come in and sit down on asphalt in Iraq, or Afghanistan, and just sit there in the dirt and listen to the show. Sometimes we were on a flatbed truck. We did a show for some Marines that were coming in from downrange in Afghanistan. And I'd say that was probably one of the best shows ever, because it was very spontaneous. We had these guys are coming in from downrange, and they would come to this particular base that was in Kyrgyzstan, right over the Afghanistan border. And they would stay there for a period of about a week and a half, 2 weeks, to kind of decompress before they would go back to the States. And these guys and women came back from downrange, and they were just exhausted. We saw them in the dining facility. They were wiped out. They were just tired. And we had done a show the night before, and we're talking to one of the guys who was in charge of that group. We're like, hey, what's the story with them? They just came in from downrange, blah, blah, blah. They missed the show. And they're like, hey, we're around. Is there a chance we could, we'll be happy to do a show for them if they're up for it. And I mean, instantly it was just because they stayed, how familiar you are, if any of you guys had done, time in the military, those big clamshells that they set up on the bases where they use it for temporary housing for the troops. So what happened was the clamshell opens up on one side. And so they literally, I would say within 2 hours, organized this thing. They backed in a flatbed truck into this clamshell. All these Marines had moved their cots that they were sleeping on. They shoved them all to the side, put this flatbed truck, the trailer, in the back of this clamshell with a couple tiny speakers. I mean, speakers that you would have like for a backyard party.
Wow.
And they set them up on either side of the flatbed truck, and all the troops sat down on their cots, and we had probably 200-300 of them that were sitting in there. Jeez. And I mean, they were just so fucking happy that we came in and wanted to do a show for them, and they had a great time, and it was probably I would say is probably one of the best shows ever.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's a real cool situation. I mean, you get over there and it's, a lot of the stuff that we do, for comedians, unless you're somebody like I had mentioned, like a Ray Romano or David Spade or Chris Rock or Dave Chappelle, you're flying in on military aircraft in those areas. You're not flying on a general's private jet on a Gulfstream 4 or something like that. So, you're sitting there flying with the troops. So it's a whole new experience. I will never bitch about Spirit ever again.
Yeah.
Actually, I will. That's a lie. They suck.
Yeah. I want to say, like, I understand kind of not totally what you're saying, but I lived in Alaska, like bush Alaska, remote Alaska, and there's a huge difference between flying on like a 747, customized drinks and everything else, and flying on a bush plane. And we had some small ones where the wind you feel like you're flying in the air. There's a much bigger difference between flying on like a commercial plane and flying on something that's like, okay, this is whatever happens, let's just go.
Oh yeah.
I feel really confident that you're going to be the only person in history that's done comedy shows in Vegas, Deer Lodge, and Guantanamo Bay. Like, really confident about that. What was that Guantanamo Bay experience like? That had to be a trip.
That was right after they started housing the Al Qaeda prisoners down there. So they didn't even really have the facilities built yet. And so these guys were in chain link fenced, caged in areas. And so it was a bizarre experience. They didn't let us get really close. It wasn't like a petting zoo where we could go in there and, throw them some feed and shit like that. So we were kind of up on a hill looking down at them. But there was a huge, at the time, because that was where they had transported everybody. That was it was a very big focal point for the media at that time. So it was just a big circus down there with all the coverage that was going on. So it was a really cool experience to put on a show down there for those people. But, a lot of the troops that were down there were reserves that ended up just getting assigned to that detail. And some of them had just rolled in that day and they're like, what the fuck am I doing here?
What was it like? You said you had to learn a different language to do comedy. Did they appreciate that? I mean, I imagine you probably slaughtered some of the language, right?
Now the Iraqis don't give a shit. They don't, okay. It's not everybody loves Ahmad. They don't follow any of that at all.
Do you remember any of that language? Like, can you speak a little bit of it?
Oh God, no. That was all complete bullshit. No, I was doing shows for the American troops. No, not at all. But there was literally a guy. There was a guy on a C-130. I'll never forget this. He had some book that was I can't remember what it was called, like the Middle East for Dummies or whatever it was.
Okay.
And we're flying in. I'm like, hey, you're picking a bad time to start reading that. You probably should have perhaps perused that at your base back in the States. Well, you start learning the culture on the flight over.
I took you serious there because I had a friend that has done business in China and stuff. And he literally said on the plane he was learning Chinese to go talk to these people. So I was like, man, this guy really learned, not Iraqi, but whatever you said.
Oh, Farsi. Farsi is one of the toughest languages out there. I mean, anybody who knows that is a very, very difficult language to pick up. So anybody that has that skill set, when they can go ahead and negotiate with those, with the people in those countries when they're trying to find out where certain, hotbeds of, insurgents might be at. And if you can speak that language and you can negotiate with those people. You can pretty much write your ticket through the military, and I would imagine the CIA.
Okay.
Oh, you got us there. In research, Pat was talking about research. I did a little in this article that I just made up. I noticed that you had a foray into some adult films, and it was called Whiskey Dick Tricks. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It was Whiskey Dick. That was
Whiskey Dick Trick.
That's pretty much my life story. That's been my entire dating experience. has been Whiskey Dick.
That was
I'm not gonna lie to you, Mark. I mean, I drink a ton. I mean, if I say this in my act, I go, ladies, if I have sex with you tonight, your vagina would fail a field sobriety test.
So I got a serious question though. So compared to doing shows in Afghanistan compared to like Deer Lodge, Montana, what's more intimidating to you, Afghanistan or Deer Lodge, Montana?
I'm excited about coming up to Deer Lodge, Montana. I am. I've done shows in Billings and in Butte. I know that's considered the big city or big cities to you guys. But I'll tell you what, the most fun I have is doing shows in some of these areas that are tucked away off the beaten path. I mean, it's always a great time, always fun crowds that are out there, and I love it. I mean, if people come out to have a good time no matter where you are. I mean, there's been times they do shows out here in Vegas, and I mean, when I met Kelly, when you and your crew were out here, that was a lot of fun that night. But I mean, there's plenty of times in Vegas too. People think that all Vegas shows are fantastic, and you got to keep in mind too that when people come out to a show in Las Vegas, they're not necessarily comedy fans. So you end up having plenty of people that perhaps got a comp ticket because they just lost $5,000 at the craps table. So now it's like, oh, hey, sorry about your losses. Here, have this guy try to make you laugh. And also people just, that's why you can have all the comedy clubs right on top of each other, because people are so drunk and lazy. I mean, that's why you can have a comedy club at the Tropicana, and then right across the street you can have a comedy club at the MGM, because people are like, you know what, I'm here at this hotel, I'm not going to walk anywhere. I'm going to see the show here. So a lot of times it's just something to keep themselves occupied or keep themselves away from the gaming tables, and you don't know what you're going to get on any given night at a and there's certainly plenty of people that come out there to see a comedy show too, that are comedy fans, but a lot of them are just, it's just something for them to do. They're like, oh, this is a show. I like to laugh. And then they go in there and they start hearing some inappropriate shit, and they go, well, this is not what I expected at all.
Yeah. The good thing though, unfortunate thing about COVID is it shut down a lot of things and everything else. But, our fan base during COVID has been the comedy crowd. For whatever reason, we get big crowds for comedy. We do a big serious musical, and all those people are staying home. But the comedy crowds right now for us personally are coming out in hordes. And when I say hordes, I mean all the whores are gonna fuck after the show.
There's going to be so many women I can disappoint. I can't wait.
So many, like Deer Lodge 6s, Las Vegas 2s, so many.
They're gonna be coming to you afterwards going, that guy was hilarious, but man, we really laughed our asses off when he took his pants off in the hotel room.
Hey, I was going to ask you too about the comedy show we went to, because we had a fucking blast, and it seemed like the crowd was really good and everything. So you can actually obviously tell a difference between a crowd that's just not even, reciprocating from like what we experienced that night, because we had a blast.
Yeah, there was it's a funny story. I was working at the MGM, and it was during rodeo week, the big national finals rodeo in Vegas. And so the crowd was, and the MGM was one of the host hotels for the rodeo people. And so you got all these rodeo people that ended up coming out to the comedy show. And, they're sitting there, and I don't know if they were expecting Larry the Cable Guy or somebody that was not named Derrick Richards. And I was actually support act on that show, and a good friend of mine, comedian Dave Landau, who's hysterical. He goes up on stage and he is wickedly inappropriate. And these people that are, God-fearing, up at 4 a.m, pushing cattle in Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, of course, Texas, whatever. And they came out to the show and he fired off, like 3 or 4. I mean, his act is hysterical front to back. But I'm in the back of the room because there's nothing better when you go up and bomb than when you sit in the back and watch your friend bomb. That is quality entertainment, because you don't want to go up there and tank it, and then your buddy goes up and kills it, and you're like, what happened? So now you're I'm in the back of the room, and he does like 3 or 4 jokes that are insanely wrong. And this crowd is staring at him like the devil brought him into their living room. And so he stops for a second. He takes a drink of water. He goes, you guys could have Googled me on the way in. And I about shit a kitten. I was laughing so fucking hard. Myself and my buddy, who's the manager of the club, were in the back of the room just on the fucking floor. These people had no idea what to expect. And like literally for the next, I would say, half hour, it was it was a struggle. He definitely got laughs. He's funny as hell, but I mean, it took him a while for them to even get accustomed to what he was doing.
I bet. Like, one of the things I wanted to bring up, being a comic in Las Vegas, like how much different is that than being a comic in like say New York City or like Los Angeles, where you kind of have those comedic outposts in a way? Like, how much different is it being in Vegas?
Well, I like it here in Vegas because, I mean, obviously before the China virus rolled into town and fucked up everybody's life.
Trigger warning, trigger warning.
Trigger warning. Whoops.
Oh,
Sorry.
You are gonna get canceled so hard.
Good. Fuck them. They canceled the cartoon skunk. Really? They canceled Pepe Le Pew.
Oh, I think you're gonna fit
That's
very
what cracks
well.
me up. Some guy had commented on a Facebook post. He goes, "Thank God they canceled Pepe Le Pew so my kid can go back to watching playing Grand Theft Auto where he set a hooker on fire so he didn't have to pay her."
I saw that too.
Did you see that? Isn't that the best? I love that shit. This country is so fucked. But it's the whole cancel culture thing is just beyond ridiculous. I don't know where these people meet. I really don't. I don't know where they get together and decide to be dicks as a unit. I don't know. I don't know where. I'm assuming it's a Starbucks. I'm guessing. I think if we started looking there, we would find them. But no, to answer your question, I love it out here in Vegas. I mean, it's, people are coming out here to have a good time. There's always, plenty of stuff to do. As far as the comedy scene goes, I think I love New York. I like New York more than Los Angeles, only because I love the attitude that New Yorkers seem to have from a comedy perspective. Some of my favorite acts have been East Coast acts, such as like a Bill Burr, something like that. That doesn't look creepy at all, but that guy creeping over your shoulder.
I know, like at this point, it just got weird. He's wearing a weird red coat. Like, bro, you're married.
I'm digging the jacket though. That jacket's pretty badass.
Hey, Derrick, I will say that guy in the red jacket's the only reason that you guys are coming to Deer Lodge, because he's the one that said, no, he was all drunk in Vegas. Let's go talk to these guys. I was like, let's go back to the hotel. So he's the reason you guys are coming to Deer Lodge.
Yeah.
What's happening, man? I love that. I love that jacket. That jacket is badass. That looks like a pro wrestling jacket from like the 80s, doesn't it? Like Ric Flair would wear that jacket. That is a great fucking jacket. No, I am I'm a much bigger fan of the New York comedy scene than the Los Angeles comedy scene. I think a lot of the LA people seem to have some kind of a weird attitude about, they always try to make it super politically correct. And I just don't care for that. I'm like, to me, funny's funny. And so when the LA crowd seems to have a little bit of a judgy sort of a snootier attitude. Not everybody by any means, but just as a collective unit, I think I kind of picked that up. Out here in Vegas, it's it's a fun time. I mean, I lived in South Florida for 12 years before I've been out here now for 8. From Detroit originally, I travel all over the place doing this. So I don't just stay here in Vegas and do shows, which is nice because it's nice to get out of here and just travel and do the stuff and get a chance to, head up to hang out with you guys here this weekend, which is going to be a fucking blast.
Awesome.
Yeah, I just want to get
we're buying you shots.
What's that?
I'm gonna buy you some shots.
Done. Perfect.
I just want to go get some background on the cancel culture and everything during COVID-19, everything. This is bizarre. You might think this is beyond bizarre for you coming into Montana, but for our theater, when this first hit, a lot of police departments. What are you drinking? I'm just kidding. A lot of police departments.
Water, not vodka, just water.
Oh, I like vodka.
So remember, a lot of people aren't going to be listening. So let's explain the visuals that we have coming.
Gotcha.
But anyways,
it's a mortar shell of water is what this thing is, but it looks like if you turn it just right, it looks like I'm drinking a bottle of New Amsterdam vodka.
So the police department here in our local town had no idea to do, which a lot of police departments did not know what to do. They hung signs on our theater saying we were closed, basically, based on the Democratic governor of Montana at the time. So we had our theater closed down, harassed, and we weren't even doing shows at the time. We were just rehearsing for different things. So you have that cancel culture going on, and we had our theater shut down. What we did, we basically said, you know what, fuck you, and we kept on going. We made a Jesus Christ Superstar. We were doing that, but couldn't do it on stage because of the governor of Montana. So we did a digital version of that. But I mean, for everybody else, when you come to talk about Butte, Missoula, they all shut down and they all quit and they all believed what their TV sets said. So when you come to Deer Lodge, I'll tell you this much, is that we never quit, we never stopped, and we just said, you know what, life goes on. You know what, life goes on. If you're not living, you might as well be dying. So I hope that gives you a little bit of material here for your show tomorrow, or sorry, Friday.
No, I love the attitude, man. I really do. I mean, it's there's places here. I mean, Nevada is run by you hate to make it a partisan issue, but blue states have a tendency to stay closed. And I mean, most of Nevada is very, very red with the exception of Clark County. And of course, the governor of Nevada is Democrat, and he's kept stuff shut down way longer than it needs to be. I mean, it's just been ridiculous. And, we have a Republican mayor of Las Vegas, Carolyn Goodman, who was Oscar Goodman's wife. And so, she's been wanting to open things up. And I think come May 1st, they have finally figured out a way where they just said, all right, Las Vegas is now in control of the mayor come May 1st. We're done trying to, throw these mandates and closures and stuff like that at people, because it's been devastating here. I mean, in Nevada, I mean, up in the northern part of the state, a few of the counties sued the governor saying, go fuck yourself, we're opening. Mm-hmm. And they won. And so a lot of other ones starting to follow suit. They're like, look, we had 5 cases of COVID. And there's, it's a tiny county. They're like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm opening.
Yeah,
I'm not
no kidding.
Watch these people's businesses crumble. But I mean, it's been, I'm not saying anything that everybody else hasn't probably talked about a million times over, but I mean, the devastation and just the crushing economic blow that this has been on the entire country. And I'm sure it's obviously affected a ton of people in Montana, which is horrible, but it's out of hand. It really is. I mean, just open shit up. If you're not comfortable, stay the fuck at home. You want to wear a mask? Wear a mask. Wear a Batman mask. I don't care if you put a ball gag in your mouth. I don't care if you walk around looking like the Gimp from Pulp Fiction. I don't care if you borrow Kelly's butt plug so he doesn't shit himself. Wear a butt plug and a ball gag so you don't get COVID.
The saddest thing for me though is like, man, I had the data. I have all the data, and guess what? During COVID, the population for the U.S. increased by 2 million. It was the same population increase of any other year. So all the stuff to me is absolutely ridiculous.
No, it really is. I mean, I feel horrible. I have plenty of friends in New York, comedian friends of mine, and that state is just a dumpster fire. I still crack up. I mean, they canceled Pepe Le Pew, but somehow the governor of New York still keeps going strong. That guy has actually fondled more people than Pepe Le Pew, and they're actual people. They're not fucking cartoons. Pepe Le Pew diddles a cartoon cat. People freak the fuck out. The governor of New York has nipple rings and is diddling everybody in his office, and this asshole still has a job.
You're going to be the perfect
that,
for
we are
Lodge.
dead. And he must do that. We are dead.
Yeah.
This will be the funnest show you've ever done in your life.
Pat just hit it on the head. He just said, you're gonna love the Deer Lodge crowd because we've tried a few different things. We did Romeo and Juliet and an original show, a couple other things, but the comedy crowd. I mean, we did a roast of our friend Marquise. We did a roast. We didn't even really advertise it.
Who's black?
Like 100. Who's black? Yeah, roasted by 10 white guys on stage,
and one native girl.
And one native girl. Yeah, and
100 black guy in Deer Lodge.
He's a resident actor.
He's from Great Falls.
Okay, gotcha.
He's a transport.
Not from there.
He's awesome though. But we roasted him, and like 100 people out of nowhere showed up. And it's just, you can tell people who just have cabin fever. They're fucking tired of it. They want to get out and just get back to living because you could be dead tomorrow. What the fuck are we doing, Do
you have any idea how canceled you would be if the headline went in the paper, 10 white guys roast a black guy? Did you do it during February? Did you do it during Black History Month too?
Oh, I wish. No, it's December.
Ah.
Oh, Lord.
But we made some just terrible funny jokes, and people just loved it, and he loved it. Marquise loved it. It's not comedy, unless you're just a fucking asshole. Comedy never comes from a mean spot. It's just like, let's say some inappropriate stuff and laugh because it feels good. You know that better than anyone.
No, exactly. Obviously. I mean, I recommend anybody when you come out to Vegas to see, and when Brad Garrett performs at his club at the MGM, he's hands down one of the funniest people that you will ever see do a show. And you want to talk about somebody that doesn't give a fuck about what he says. And it's so funny because people expect they're seeing, Robert from Everybody Loves Raymond. And his comedy is not Robert from Everybody Loves Raymond. I mean, he is funny, but he embodies that attitude of just not caring and just having I'm going to fuck around and have a good time with people. I mean, one of his best things that he ever did, and I only say this because we were just talking about your friend that you did the roast for. There was Brad, when he works at the club, he goes up when Brad Garrett is working at his club, he hosts. So he goes up first and does probably 20 minutes. And then the next act comes out and does, maybe 15 or 20. And then Brad comes back out, does another half hour. And then the headliner comes out. And then, so it's a good, long, full show. It's fun. It's just a great time. But long story short, he had the support act on the show was a black comedian, Louis Ramey, who's hysterical. And so Louis goes and does his set. But before he comes out, Brad introduces him and he goes, "All right, ladies and gentlemen, this next comedian, he's I don't know how to say this. He's black. So, ladies, put your purses under your chairs." He says, if you're in the front row and your drinks are right here, they say their dicks are kind of big, might fall in your martini, pull it back a little bit. Then he brings him out on stage. So he comes out and he's a comedian. He's got a great sense of humor. So he does his set and Brad Garrett comes back out and he says, "Folks, I would like to take this moment to apologize. I got contacted by MGM management and they were not happy with what I said about the black fella and about the purses and his big dick. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to bring Louis back out on stage here and apologize to him in person." He goes, "So Louis, come back out on stage." Louis comes back out. He's fucking dying laughing. And so Brad, who's like, 6'7", and, Louis Ramey's probably like 5'8" or whatever. So Brad puts his arm around him and he goes, "Louis, on behalf of myself and the MGM and Brad Garrett's Comedy Club, I'd like to apologize for the inappropriate comments that I made. Will you accept my apology?" And Lewis goes, sure, absolutely. And Brad goes, that's great. He goes, with that said, let's start the bidding at 1,500. And the crowd, I mean, the room exploded. They were laughing so hard. And Brad's going, come on, everybody. Anybody can bring a Las Vegas cat back home with them. He goes, bring a Negro home to Kansas. And the first time I heard him do that, I could not stop laughing. It was so funny.
How long ago was this?
Oh, fuck.
Oh no, I mean it was before COVID when things were open, but Brad would, he just does that all the time. I mean, that's just that's just him. I mean, he's old school. He comes, he used to open for Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. And I mean, he came up with that, with working with a lot of those old school Vegas entertainers. I mean, your Don Rickles and stuff like that too, where those guys just didn't give a shit. So it also helps too that he was on the #1 sitcom in the history of sitcoms. So I mean that, if I go up on stage and do that, I mean, done. So, I mean, he certainly has the latitude of having that stardom of being able to go ahead and pull that off. But I mean, when people come out there to see, Brad do stand up, I mean, they're expecting that if they've followed his, trajectory in his career at all. So, I
always question, like, who the fuck goes to a comedy show to be offended? I've never gotten that. It's like, do you know what you're getting into? And I was going to ask you earlier, what are some of your techniques? Because we all got them, like, where you don't get emotional about it. No one's laughing at my show. I fucking suck. I quit. How do you shut it off? Because we all got our own little techniques. But what's some of yours?
You mean techniques in regards to how if a crowd is kind of backing off?
Yeah, if a crowd's backing off or pissed off at you or whatever, how do you block that out? Just from doing it forever and ever? Or
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, Kelly, that just over time you figure out what buttons you can and cannot push. I mean, you can kind of find out of the gate. There's certain little telltale jokes that you can tell on how people react, and there's certain little markers that you kind of you shoot off the flare and see how they react to it. And you can kind of gauge the room at that point. You're always surprised. I mean, I'll never not be surprised at a crowd, reacting one way or another. Sometimes you think, oh, this is going to sink like the Titanic. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow, that went better than I thought it would. So you think, sometimes you think an audience is going to be on board with you for something, and then they're not. And then vice versa. You think, oh, they're going to fucking hate this. And they die laughing. So it's there's never really any rhyme or reason behind it, but I think it's if you're going up on stage and, like you said, comedy's not coming from a place of anybody being mean-spirited, and a lot of times people just hear certain words and it triggers things for them. They hear somebody makes if I even mention the word say Trump and somebody hates him, they're not even going to listen to the rest of what I'm saying, because we've become so trained to hear these certain buzzwords because the media has marinating people with all this bullshit and brainwashed them to think that, if you hear this, that's automatically offensive. So, so some people are like that, and there's nothing you can do about it. And then you just, if somebody decides to stand up and make an ass out of themselves, they can go ahead and do it. I mean, there's a joke. I'm not going to give it away because I'll do it when I'm up with you guys here in Deer Lodge. But I know I did it at the show that you were at, Kelly, where I was talking about when I was 17 years old working at Ponderosa Steakhouse. We decided to mess with the hostess, who was an idiot. And we told her to seat all the white people on one side of the restaurant and all the black people on the other side. And so, which is a true story. And it's, it was just us being stupid and juvenile and dumb, X number of years ago when we did this. And the crowd, cracks up because, they know it's not a mean-spirited thing. I didn't say, racially segregate the whites and the blacks and then put all the blacks on a bus and ship them off to a plantation. Yeah. But there was a lady, if you go online, you look up Derrick Richards heckler on YouTube, and you can pull it up, and there's a clip, and it was at the MGM at Brad Garrett's club, and the crowd is just dying laughing. And this one lady, the social justice warrior, because they're always in their 30s, they're white, and they're women. They are, because apparently, blacks and Latinos and Native Americans can't stand up for each other. They need the white 30-something-year-old twat waffle wearing Lululemon yoga pants, drinking a Starbucks, and in her Lexus RX 350 to speak up on your behalf. And so this dumbass stands up and she goes, "That's racist. You're racist. You're not even a comedian." And the crowd turns on her.
Oh, good.
You hear the whole crowd. There is probably 200 and some people in the room, and you hear them turn and they're like, "Whoa, what are you?" And security is on it. And they were on her like instantly, and literally she was with a group of like 6 people, and the other people sat there. Mm-hmm. Watch their friend get thrown out of the club, and then they sat there the rest of the time.
Oh, that's embarrassing, man.
It was hilarious because she was so tuned up about that thing, and it was like, and there was literally, if you watch the video, I don't know if you can see it, but there's actually a biracial couple sitting right in the front row, and there was a black lady, and she was, after the show, she's like, "I can't believe that lady did that." She goes, "That joke was hilarious." I go, "Thank you." It's not a mean joke. It's a true story that I'm just sharing with the audience. And so, you just never know what's going to trigger somebody.
Yeah, it drives me nuts.
I watched that video and doing some research on you today, and I watched that just because I was like, anytime someone has a heckler and a stand-up, I'm always interested in. It's what you described as the person who standed up. I could just tell by the voice she had with all her "fuck yous." I was like, yeah, that's probably exactly who that person is.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, it's funny. Well, the thing is too, first off, the whole country's medicated. There's everybody's got, pharmaceuticals racing through their system. So now you take those people and you put them out in Las Vegas, medicated, and now add a shit ton of booze. And what do you think you're going to get? So it's you get a mixture of people that just feel that when they're out in Las Vegas, they're bulletproof. And they can do whatever they want, and I can drink whatever I want, I can pop whatever I want, and I'm going to be fine. It's like, no, that's really not how it works.
Well, I'm just going to tell you, heads up here, Derrick. Whatever you want to say in Deer Lodge, you can literally do whatever you want.
I was informed of that. Kelly gave me the 411 on that. He goes, you know what? He goes, Deer Lodge is a fun town. He goes, you want to say whatever the hell you want, knock yourself out. So I'm looking forward to it.
I would say it's probably,
and anybody
impossible.
Offended, contact Kelly Cutler.
Yes.
That's Kelly at CutlerBrothersProductions.com.
I will guarantee you this, based on your stories, this will be the funnest show of your lifetime.
I can't wait. I'm super, super stoked. I always, like I said, some of the best shows and the most fun that I've had have been coming out to, areas a little bit off the beaten path. And so I'll be honest, until I was talking to Kelly and he said Deer Lodge, Montana, I thought Deer Lodge was an actual fucking lodge. And I'm like, oh, that's a city. Oh, well, fuck me. Okay.
Now I was on a podcast the other day with an interview for one of our horror films I'm working on, and he was like questioning, like, most of us in the East Coast still think that Montana, you guys, you're diehard rednecks. You go to school on horses, and it's the Wild West off your front porch.
That's people are stupid.
Very
Well,
stupid.
It drives me
People are
nuts.
stupid. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I've been to parts of the country where that probably is not that far off base. So they were just wrong in their zip code.
We've had people move out of Deer Lodge, that move to Seattle or something. Then all they do, they graduate here. All they do is talk shit about their hometown. Fuck those guys. It's like, okay, you're the assistant manager at Subway. Who gives a shit, But
Hey, Kelly, not to cut you off, but not assistant manager, but Subway senior sandwich artist.
if you're going to insult them, at least get their job right.
Yeah.
At least get their shitty title correct.
But it's like you can live in Seattle or Vegas or New York. It doesn't matter where you live. You're not superior to anybody because of a thing called the fucking internet. You can either research and be intelligent about things, or you don't have to be. But it doesn't matter where you live anymore. You can figure out anything on your own, you know?
No, exactly. I mean, anybody that wants to leave a town and then start, shitting on it, it's like, just say, you know what, I left, I moved on. It was a great experience in my life, and and now I'm here. So it's,
don't be miserable about it,
No, exactly. That doesn't serve anybody.
No, yeah, it's not that it was a bad time. It was just you were a shitty person there. Or like, if you're trying to find the bad in something, you're gonna find the bad. Like if I'm looking for a red car on the highway, I'm gonna find a bunch of fucking red cars, right? So if you want to think of all the shitty things that happened, that's all you'll think of.
Yeah, you can be in a bad relationship anywhere. I mean, you can have a shitty job anywhere. The fact that you happen to be in whatever fill in the blank city that you were in at that time when it happened, it's like, yeah, I mean, it sucks. Nobody wants to go through that, but it's part of life.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Pat.
I was just gonna say, there's a lot of people that will shit on you no matter what the fuck you do. We had a big ass promotion throughout the theater. Is this theater in town, a historic theater, around for over 100 years. The first play they did was Robin Hood. We produced Robin Hood on stage for the first time in 100 years at this theater, and the Silver State Post, which is the local newspaper in town, said fuck you. They did not give us any credit whatsoever in their paper headlines or whatever. So we advertise and say, we're not even advertising, we're going to say that we got fucking Vegas comedians coming to Deer Lodge, Montana, and they will not put it in their paper or anything because they hold this small town, small politics. The guy was, I guess, a former Republican. Now he's a gigantic fucking vagina, I guess is how he identifies now. So we're like, fuck it, we're going to start our own news channel now.
That is so funny. I mean, is there any reason behind that why they have the attitude that they do?
We've been, we were born and raised here. We all left, went to college and did other things and then came back. And now we run, some businesses in town. And a lot of the older generation just looks at us like those little fucking shitty kids that put the dog shit on their porch. It's like that was 3 times.
Listen, we can still do that.
Yeah. Tomorrow night.
I roll in tomorrow about 2:30, 3 o'clock. So you got a bag of shit and a lighter. Let's do this.
And then the Montana bar later that night.
Absolutely.
Let's not even talk about the Montana bar right now.
Well, Derrick, it's been good talking to you. I just we want to welcome you to town and everything. It's going to be a good time, and thank you for coming up. I'm glad that we went to your show, and I thought it was funny when you said, most people in Vegas are, they're lazy. They don't want to leave their hotel. Well, we fucking had to get an Uber from the Luxor all the way to what's that called, Fremont Street. So we
wanted, the downtown Grand.
We wanted to see you, man.
No, man, I'm glad you guys came on out. It was great to meet you and talk with you guys afterwards. That was a ton of fun. I'm glad this ended up working out to where I'm going to come up and hang out with you guys for a few days up in Deer Lodge, man. It's going to be an absolute blast. I'm looking forward to it, and I encourage anybody to come on out that has got a sense of humor, wants to laugh, and be stupid for a night. Please come out to Cutler Brothers Theater, Deer Lodge, Montana, Friday and Saturday, March 12, 13.
Fuck yeah.
Derrick,
absolutely.
Before you go, I got one more question. I've been listening to a bunch of comedians podcasts.
At this point, you're stalking him at this point.
And this is comedians podcast.
I like how Mark is trying to sound scholarly, and you guys just shit all over him.
Nothing I'm not used to.
This is the shit you got to deal with, Mark.
Constantly.
This is podcast number 2. How did you get past number 1? I didn't change my number and faked my death. Hey, Mark, you want to join us? Hey, why don't you go fuck yourself?
At least someone can finally see the bullshit. So anyway, the question I have is I know that comedy condos, you have to go all over, and you don't always stay at a hotel. So I heard this thing on a podcast about the comedy condo mayo. Is that a thing? You don't use the mayonnaise?
That used to be a thing. years ago. And then people evolved a little bit. There was a comedian who was out there that was famous for defiling condiments in comedy condos. And it was and for those people that are not familiar with a comedy condo, it's essentially like a band house, if you will. It's a condominium, an apartment. It's a house that the club owner has and uses it to save money on accommodations. So the comedy condo also ends up acting as a storage facility for a bunch of cocktail napkins and bar glasses and whatever the hell else that Elvira cardboard cutouts that they store in the comedy condo until Halloween rolls around again. So it's sometimes the accommodations are great and sometimes they're a little bit sketch, but there's always, a kitchen with a refrigerator and, comedians that are there, just you buy stuff and you leave it for your fellow people. There's a comedian, John Fox, from years ago, who was notorious for snapping one off in a jar of mayonnaise. Or he'd, put his dick in the milk jug and, stuff like that. So
Andy Kaufman.
Oh God, sure. But it's but now it's, people I think have evolved a little bit to some extent. I mean, if I'm staying at a condo and I know the acts that are coming in there the next week, like I'll literally take all the stuff that I bought and I'll stick it up on the top shelf and label it. I'm like, hey, this is cool. Derrick Richards bought this. I didn't piss in the mustard. You're cool. I can't speak for anything else in this fridge, but this is legit.
Oh.
And so by evolved, you mean like people are just coming in the ketchup instead now?
Well, no, that's pretty obvious. If when you put that ketchup, you don't shake it properly, and you get that little water that comes out, that ketchup pre-cum, if you will.
Yep.
That's a surefire sign that somebody at the plant dropped a load of kids in the ketchup.
I know you gotta get up early and catch that flight and everything, but can you give us like a minute or two of something about Ron Coleman, since he's coming with you? No,
Ron's great. You guys saw him down there. He's actually Ron. He's been doing comedy for years and years and years. He's
funny as shit too.
He's hilarious. Yeah, he's been around a long time. Something that he didn't mention on stage, and I don't know if you guys had a chance to find out when you were talking to him, Kelly, but he used to be a stuntman. In Hollywood years ago, and he used to. He was on the like back in Dukes of Hazzard, like the original Dukes of Hazzard.
Wow.
A lot of those shows back in the 80s, like BJ and the Bear, some of those tons of movies. He was actually roommates with Quentin Tarantino.
Holy shit. Wow.
Yeah, true story.
Holy shit.
And it's funny because Quentin was writing all these different scripts through the years before he even hit it big with Reservoir Dogs. And so he wrote Reservoir Dogs. True story. Give Ron shit on this when you see him, because I do all the time. Because have y'all seen Reservoir Dogs? You remember it?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And there's the cop who those guys had kidnapped, and they had him tied up, and they were beating the shit out of him. Well, Quentin Tarantino had asked Ron. He goes, hey, I got this script I'm doing. He goes, I want you to play this cop. Are you interested? And Ron, was used to Quentin's, a number of his scripts that hadn't gone anywhere. And he goes, nah, I'm good.
Holy shit.
I know. So he passed up being in Reservoir Dogs, not because he had any idea what the hell it was going to be, but just because he was used to being roommates with this guy who was coming up with ideas that at the time weren't going anywhere.
Wow. That's crazy.
And it's rumored that the whole Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I don't know if you saw that, but that was like the stuntman character is allegedly loosely based on Coleman.
Oh my God.
That's
Because
cool.
Ron was a stuntman when
really
he was living with Quentin Tarantino. Yeah, he's got some great stories. I mean, about drinking with like Nick Nolte and stuff like that.
Holy shit, Nick Nolte. God.
Oh my God, Nick Nolte. Who else? Oh God, remember the show Alice?
Oh,
Mel's Diner.
I do.
Vic Tayback. like there was a bar that was right across from like Studio City, and like all these actors that were from these TV shows would end up going over there, and they would get shit faced after their productions. And Ron was out there drinking with them and the other stuntmen on the shows and stuff like that too. So yeah, he's got some great funny fucking stories, and he's hilarious on stage. So yeah, it's gonna be a great time.
Fuck yeah, man. That's
Can't
awesome.
wait.
Oh, absolutely. Can't wait.
So he passed up on the cop role, and now he's coming to do comedy in Deer Lodge, Montana.
You should tell him that at every single possible turn.
That's how you should introduce him before he goes on stage.
Oh my god.
Hey,
He will shit himself if you don't say anything to him beforehand. He's gonna fucking die. How the fuck did they know about this? I don't know, man. They got Mahoney doing research.
Yes.
Research.
Mahoney's browser history doesn't have just porn on it, people.
It's in there, but there's
Some legit stuff on there.
Oh, fuck. Excited to have you, man.
No, excited to be up there, man. Looking forward to it. You guys, again, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
yeah, one last question. So how did you evolve? You used the word evolve from Detroit Red Wings heydays to now you're a fucking Vegas fan. How did that happen?
Well, it's called the 3-hour time change. And no, I'm always going to be, I'm always going to be a Red Wings fan. I grew up there. They were my team for years and years. Big fan of Steve Yzerman. And, I was in Detroit when they won the cup in '97. And then there's, that was the most insane feeling, ever, was being in a bar downtown Detroit when they won the Stanley Cup in '97 against the Flyers. And so that was so badass. It's such a great experience. And, but no, I'm just a huge hockey fan. And so it's great to be out here. It's an exciting environment. I know that obviously when you guys came out, there was no fans allowed in the stadium. But I mean, when you guys come back down here to Vegas and you come out to a Golden Knights game, it's a real cool environment. It's just a great atmosphere down. I recommend anybody who comes to Vegas get tickets to come and see a Knights game. It's just a shitload of fun. Just a lot, just good people, and you'll see a lot of people. You come and see your, Marsh, you come and see your Blues out here. You're going to see a shit ton of St. Louis fans. Oh, yeah. And, and the Vegas fans, they're not dicks. It's not like if you go to Philadelphia and you deal with those assholes.
Oh my God. Hey, quick story, Derek. I went to Philadelphia as a Penguins fan and watched the Avalanche. I was on a business trip. I watched the Avalanche beat the Flyers 4-0. It was the best hockey game I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was. Yeah, Philly fans are just douchebags. They're just horrible people.
Hey, Derek.
Really are. I mean,
two words on the Detroit Lions for Jay Marsh and my brother Matt, because he's a diehard Lions fan.
Two words.
We're fucked. Simple.
That's I would say that. We're fucked as one. I'll keep it a little cleaner. I'll just say good luck.
I got to show that to Matt. He'll love it, man.
I would say 3 words. I would go, I can't even. I got a Barry Sanders jersey in my closet right now, and that's the golden years right there. And even then, they still couldn't do anything. Yeah, it's hilarious. I'm just really being a Lions fan is like being in a codependent domestic assault relationship. It is. I mean, because they'll rattle off like 3 or 4 wins, and the husband's coming home and bringing you flowers, and he makes the bed, does some laundry, and you're like, oh, life is good. Then they drop 6 in a row. He comes back drunk and he's backhanding you.
Yeah.
And then you go, well, he still loves me, because then they'll win a game.
Oh, shit.
You're like, oh, well, he didn't really mean it. And then they drop the next 7. You're like, well, fuck this guy.
Oh, you get this loaded up.
I'm just finally at that point where, like, literally with the Lions, I am just a disenfranchised, pissed off housewife that's just sticking around, waiting for him to die because I know the insurance policy has my name on it.
Absolutely. Like, they draft 7 wide receivers back to back to back to back. That's when we're living at our mothers during this whole relationship. Like,
Exactly.
it's just rough. Everything about it.
Exactly. The Detroit
Yeah.
Lions are that guy that always says he wants to move out of his mom's basement, but he never does.
Yes.
That's it.
I
can't wait. I can't wait, Marsh. I can't wait to do that joke in Detroit. They're gonna fucking die.
You should do that joke in fucking Deer Lodge, man. I bet
Yeah.
you people would die in Deer Lodge with that shit.
Yeah. All 3 of
serious.
us Lions fans will feel it. It's gonna be an emotional
No,
connection.
I bet everyone knows the Lions suck. I mean, people would die at that shit. They
Oh,
really
I
would.
know. It's just in Detroit, it resonates so much stronger because everybody is living the pain.
Yeah.
So bad.
Oh, fuck
All right,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
One last question here. Just sorry.
Wait,
keep
why
going.
do
It's
you
all
get the
right.
last question?
I get the last question.
No, you don't.
Okay, last one, because we need Derrick awake to go to the Montana bar tomorrow at 3 in the afternoon.
What, happy
Done.
hour?
So, Jay Marsh knows this question. Mahoney knows this question. The hockey fans know this question. It's like, I mean, I'm a diehard Penguins fan. He used to be a Red Wings fan until he sold out. He used to be a Blues fan. Now he's a Vegas fan. Who knows what he's roots for anymore?
I don't sell out for money.
My point is, though, like,
I got
Okay.
a free jersey. I'm still a Blues fan.
I'm sorry, but I watch a lot of sports, but the new franchise draft for the Las Vegas Knights was freaking ridiculous. They loaded that team up so bad with that draft. It's like, you can't get that in any other sport. Man. You get, I got new players for my draft. Oh, you got Fleury, a Stanley Cup goaltender, and everybody else. Like, what do you think about that draft that Vegas Knights got for the new franchise?
You mean on the expansion draft?
Yeah, the expansion draft. That was insane. They went to the Cup the first year.
Well, it's a you can buy a shit ton of great players, but I mean, you guys are all hockey fans. You know the drill. I mean, you can buy all you want, but unless you've got chemistry, they're not going to win. And they just got lucky. I mean, that was the because you think about it too. Because I think that I can't remember what the standard was, but you couldn't protect like. What was it, like 3 or 4 players on your team? Was that how it worked?
It wasn't very much. Like, imagine in the NFL though, you put 2 or 3 players in the NFL or 3 or 4 players in the NFL, and man, you're gonna have a very good team. That was kind of my point as a hockey fan.
Yeah, no, I think like I said, it's the situation, it's the plan that was in place. I mean, I don't know how it's gonna shake out with the Seattle Kraken. I mean, I don't know if they're still keeping the exact same policy in place with how they're doing the draft for creating that team.
I think for the most part, except the Knights aren't involved in the draft. They get to be exempt from it. So they're going to be good for another decade at least, or until they run out of money pretty soon.
Well, and they keep stacking their lineup. I mean, I give them credit. They've, they pick up, Mark Stone, Max Pacioretty. I believe your beloved Alex Pietrangelo, who's now injured right now for a little bit, but they're going after some people and they're getting them. I mean, and they're making some smart moves. So, I mean, it's fun to watch. It's fun to be out here and be a part of it and see it unfold the way it is. I mean, it's it's good to see the city, rallying behind it and and having a good team out there on the ice.
So for the last quote I'll say tonight is like, I'm a Penguins fan. Again, we went through this already. I don't like the Vegas Knights, but the owner of the Vegas Knights owns Rock Creek, and it's to me a very good pleasure for the Vegas Knights to bring hockey to Western Montana, especially Deer Lodge. So Deer Lodge, you come to Deer Lodge, you'll feel very welcome. There's a bunch of Vegas Knights fans here because that is the team of Deer Lodge, Montana. And the first time in forever, guys, Deer Lodge has an actual team. It's the Vegas Knights. So go Pittsburgh Penguins.
You grew up with this shit, Kelly?
Oh yeah, I've been past babysitter since he was 3 years old and I was 2.
We're the closest in age, by the way.
Yeah, we always say that Pat popped out and Dad popped on.
Man, I'm excited to get up there and see you guys and hang out with you tomorrow night. And then, of course, obviously the show's on the weekend, man. It's going to be a blast.
Cool.
Fuck
See you
yeah,
at the-
man.
Me and you and Tilly will see you at the Montana bar at 4:30 tomorrow with Jay Marsh.
Deal. Perfect.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
You
No
got
more
it,
questions.
man. You guys take care, man. We'll talk to you.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Derek. Have a good trip, man.
Thanks,
Derek.
guys, man.
See you
Thanks
later,
so
man.
much. Appreciate
See you
you.
later. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Nice guy.
All right,
Okay.
guys. Post game
Now that-
show now.
Fuck that guy.
He's a sweetheart. What are you
Can
talking
you
about?
can
I'm
you
just
guys
joking.
can you guys like cancel his flight or something? Cancel the-
Wait, can we like not pick him up from the airport?
Hey, chill the fuck out. He's like the fourth funniest guy on this podcast.
Right, right behind Tilly, the stalker Mark, and
See, I'm not really a stalker because I made up one of the articles.
No, that was fun. Yeah, that was a good time. I'm glad that he stuck around longer than a half an hour because
oh yeah,
interesting motherfucker. I'll tell you that.
So this,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I knew
so
the half hour wasn't gonna stick.
so again, this is all going to go on the podcast because it's all real. But one thing I would suggest for future guests or whatever, we should have like whether it be a tablet or your cell phone or something, not to be glued to your phone or whatever. We should have that communication where it's like, okay, this guy he said 20, 30 minutes, but he's fucking talking. Let's keep him talking because that guy could fucking talk about his experience. He's a very, very good guest. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and
Sure.
like you said, he probably would have. He probably would have stuck around for 2 hours. I was the person. I was just like, trying to be courteous because he's like, I gotta get up early for a
No,
flight. and
he
shit. And I
basically
was
said, "Fuck you, get out of here."
No, he wasn't
was
done
just-
yet.
I was just giving him I was opening the door for him. If he wanted to
Yeah.
slam it in my face and say, I'm not
No,
fucking
no,
done yet.
no. Hey guys, Kelly is like Morpheus. There's a phone booth here. The next 20 yards, go for it.
Okay. Well, as you guys talked about Back to the Future, I'm going to get another drink, so I don't know that reference.
That's from the Matrix. Not
No.
Back to the Future.
Oh, sorry. Can only Derrick Richards tell jokes tonight? Just joke.
Apparently, he got us hook, line, and sinker. He's speaking Swahili or something.
Oh, yeah. And then
Farsi,
we're still
Farsi.
live, but I look like a fucking dumbass. So you speak Irakanese?
It was a good effort. Good effort. Solid.
Well, but I've had people that have done that before, so I
Yeah.
just you're right. I bought into it 100%.
No, who we need to get on next week is his opener, the Ron guy, Coleman, something like that.
Yeah. That's
Absolutely.
interesting.
We need to sneak him on.
Yeah, we should absolutely. My thing was like I held back because I didn't know what his thoughts were and everything. I was like, after I hear him speak, it's like, fuck, I should have went directly into, is COVID-19 a hoax?
So, Pat, I think maybe for our future guests, don't lead with that question. maybe that's yeah.
I disagree. For every guest in the future, lead with that. Even 3 years down the road, lead with how did COVID affect you?
I think honestly, he kept talking about Bill Burr. I think that's who our next guest should be. Let's just go.
Let's shoot for the moon, boys. We miss will land on the stars.
Hey, if any of you 30 people listening have Bill Burr's contact info, we'd love him for next week.
No, let's get Pat on Twitter going through the Redgate account. Hey, Bill, I need you. Bill.
Hey, well, I got you guys here still. Derrick just sent me a text. He says, great fucking time. Thanks, man. So cool guy.
Very good guy.
Okay, but seriously, can you cancel a flight yet? Or
All right, can we get Tilly on? Tilly, you want to come in my room real quick? Tilly, come over here. So I'm going to bring Tilly on. He's going to talk about.
I'm gonna get another drink. I'll be right back.
this should be a good. This
Should we
section.
go to
Yeah.
the
I'm not going to leave you guys going here. So, Mike, my good friend Jim Tilly here, and then he
Young
flies
Jim.
in.
Young Jim.
So for the record, he flies in tomorrow. Derrick Richards flies in tomorrow at 3:00. And Jim Tilley's going to talk about how he's going to show him around the Montana bar tomorrow. All right, Tilley, go ahead. You're up. Your headphones. That's a headphone set.
Okay.
Just talk about
Biggest
what
twist
are you
in
going to do when he
podcast
comes in?
history.
You going to show him around
Oh.
Montana?
All right. So we're gonna have a good time. Derrick Richards is gonna love his experience. I'm sorry, I'm still wearing your earbud, Justin.
Don't
No,
lose it. I got two.
I won't. Well, I've got it for you. So yeah, no. I mean, that was an amazing podcast. I am
Hey,
excited.
man, we're currently still doing it, so
Oh,
Young Jim, you're now currently a part of that podcast.
you are in it now.
This
Thought
is
it
your
was over.
moment in time. No.
Yes. Pat just gave you your own segment, and I suffice to say you're killing it right now. Yeah, you're nailing it. I look forward to
fact
future Philly segments.
The fact we're still standing upright, I'm gonna call it a good victory for us. If you fall forward. It'll be funnier.
Hey, Moose, thanks for the jam.
oh, there's Kelly. Oh, I love that guy.
Thank you.
So much fun.
Out on the front porch of the door. Yes.
I really liked when we talked about COVID-19 so much about
Thanks, Jim.
the
No, that's I was just trying to encourage your thoughts and prayers.
so I saw him in Vegas. We all saw him in Vegas. Him and the other guy that's coming up. And yes, after their show, after their performance in Vegas, we went over to talk to them, and it was my call because Kelly was, yeah, this is nice. Awesome.
Hey, Moose, thanks for the jam.
Come on, get in here.
Oh,
put a big
geez.
shout out
We
to
got
Fireball.
Fireball.
We're gonna wrap this
Oh,
up in about 20 minutes.
Oh, we got
Mahoney, I wish I'd give you one.
Oh,
Until you
man.
put that
All
fucking
right.
You can send it. Just overnight
that
it.
headphone in your thing.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
Jesus
jeez.
Christ!
Why did you do
I hit this
that?
fucking headphone thing. So
Why'd
I'm
you do
sorry.
it? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
You got,
It's fine.
no, look for us.
I know. I've got it.
Oh, brother.
Thank you. I got it.
He's got it.
I
You
got it.
guys, headphone in. All right.
Yes.
All right,
Everybody here.
we've gone
Fireball.
off.
Fireball shots.
So-
We've gone off the rails.
Where's Kelly?
What
Are
are you
we
talking
going to
about
park
right
this
now?
thing because we've gone off the rails?
Park it.
Exactly.
We have to go at least 90
What?
minutes.
We
Hey.
ready?
Kelly's going back up there. We gotta go at least 90 minutes.
All
Because
right.
guess what? The YouTube channel, it'll go.
He has
90.
gout walking up
Cheers,
2
this,
flights of stairs.
Justin,
Do you think he's?
we're gonna cheers this
What?
fireball shot.
Oh, wait, time out. Back up. a little
Sponsor
bit.
me,
Just-
Fireball whiskey.
Right there, just back up right there. So, who thinks Tilly should be drinking this Fireball shot right now?
No one.
I do.
No one thinks he should be drinking.
Mahoney.
Okay.
All right, here. Oh, Kelly's
I do.
back upstairs. So
Okay.
Nice.
Who thinks Mahoney?
Hey, Moose,
All right.
thanks for the jam.
Okay, this is a 90-minute show. Fucking Mahomes wants to cut it off at fucking 1:26:27.
Woo.
I don't think the best content is being given right now.
No, this is blooper reel.
No,
I like
we
Derrick
got
Richards.
so much great fucking
Hey,
content.
Cheers to Derrick Richards.
Who's Derrick
Yeah,
Richards?
here's
Wait, we didn't drink yet? I already drank mine.
Kelly, you're gonna drink yours.
yes, I did.
I'm Mahoney, ready to drink your own
Cheers.
piss?
Cheers to me.
What's
Yep.
Mahoney
Here we
drinking?
go.
3, 2, 1.
Fireball, hit me up. Something on Twitter. I don't know.
Hey,
So,
That's nice.
so yeah, I agree. We should probably wrap this up here in the next couple of minutes. Pat, you want to do some closing remarks or what?
yes. So like every show, can you please leave?
Fuck off,
So-
Moose.
Hey, wait,
So-
you're good.
Incoming Vegas Nights
Hey,
rant.
time out.
Like
Yeah, time out.
3, 2,
No,
1.
Tony, can you sit down there? Can you sit down there in that chair right now? No, sit there. You get closer.
All right, it was fun. Glad young Jim.
Can you imagine if we actually had like a base of listeners that just listened on like
Okay,
on their way?
No.
10,000 people.
Okay, guys.
Fuck.
This guy had a few drinks. Tilly will be giving some closing remarks, and so we gotta respect that. He is. He's gonna give some. All right, so guys, that show was
So,
interesting.
how do you feel about COVID?
I did like your consistency with always working back to the Vegas Knights.
So, how do you feel? Las Vegas Knights. Yo.
If Mahoney's here right now, he has Tilly's head. Close it! Close the fucking thing! Just hold on, you're okay. Don't anything, do anything, do anything.
Yeah,
Don't-
I love when you circle back to the Vegas Knights because I couldn't contribute much to the conversation because I don't know shit about hockey. I just found out there's 3 periods in hockey like a week ago.
Not bad. Not bad. Took it 36 years to get there.
35, you cunt. Okay. Yeah, we should probably wrap this up. We got 38 viewers, man. We don't want to drop that number.
Hey,
We
hey,
don't want to lose anyone right now. We're in the
Oh,
infant stage. We're
fuck.
growing.
hey, fuck you, J Mars. I seen the podcast you showed me. This is where the good shit is right here.
Yeah, but they're funny. We're in.
Dude, okay, this is getting weird because I don't know what he's doing behind me.
What is young Jim fondling you?
Jeez, it looks like Pat's about to get raped by Gaston from Beauty and the Beast.
Jesus, you listen to this? Okay, time out. Okay, this has to end here pretty soon.
Yeah, close it down. We're done.
Close the motherfucker down.
All right, pull the cord. It is time.
Okay, end it. I'll see you downstairs for another soiree.
No, let's,
Adios, y'all.
no, wait, let's end it with the question though.
What are we waiting for? The Las Vegas Knights to show up?
No, Tilly left. I'm good now.
Yeah, but he's coming out here.
Well, good luck with that.
I've had to deal with him for 3 hours of total podcasting. Not 1 minute that was sober.
Okay, Pat, we got 3
Kelly,
minutes and
I'll
let's
come
get
for
out
you.
of this.
All right, okay,
Kelly,
3 minutes
I'm
left.
coming.
You.
Go get him. Yeah, go get him, young moose. Go get Kel.
So, ending thoughts. What's our ending thoughts on?
So 3 minutes. Ending thoughts is just totally. What did everybody think about the Derrick Richards interview? The guy was cool as fuck. Ireland, everything else. What do you guys think about? Here's a question: how do you guys feel, or what do you expect? Actually, let's go this way. What do you expect with him doing a comedy show in Deer Lodge? Mahoney,
He's gonna
up
be good.
first. Mahoney is up
Yeah,
first. Sorry.
I think he's going to do great. I think people are going to be excited to have something to do, and he seems like he's got the right attitude to not really care. So I think he's going to be successful. It was fun having a guest just on episode 2.
Jay Marsh.
I love you.
Jesus Christ.
Get me out of here.
Okay. Tilly's not going to be here very often. So, Kelly, just go ahead. He's on your mic anyways. Just go ahead, Kelly.
We've had comedians in the past, we haven't done them in a while. Moose is actually seeing all of them. I think that one of the last ones we had was Theo Vaughn. But yeah, I think obviously from this interview and today, he's gonna perform much better than the last 10 minutes of this podcast. I can say that.
Wouldn't be hard. Wouldn't be hard.
I'm just before I got Jay Morris, this is like the fucking Chainsaw Massacre too. Jesus Christ Almighty!
Is he licking your hair?
Don't worry about it. I'm gonna shut my video off now.
All right, so Jay Morris, you're the last person to talk, right? Or
Oh,
not?
perfect.
Or
Worst is last, right?
wait, time out.
No, he's
Wait, Mahoney, have you talked to you?
Not him.
You had me talk first, yes.
Okay. Well, you don't have to be fucking rude about it. You're about to root for the fucking sit on crack and who done shit so far in there. All right,
damn.
all right. Go ahead, Jay Marsh.
J Marsh, final word.
Let's end this shit show.
Then I'm shutting off the internet.
Forever.
No, he seemed like a.
What a weird thing.
Shut the
he seemed like
fuck
a
up,
fun
Tilly.
guy. He stayed on.
Sorry, my bad. Sorry, go ahead. My bad. I'll mute my mic.
No,
I mute my mic now.
You sure? No, he seemed like a fun guy. Glad he's able to stay on as long as he did. Tell stories about the guy who's bringing up with us. I used to be a stuntman. That's kind of a fun little thing. Who's ever hosting the show this, March 12th and 13th at the Keller Brothers Theater? You're welcome for the plug. I'm not paid for this. But, it's pretty cool. You have, a little info to throw on him, throw him out on the stage with. No, it was a fun experience. Absolutely. You can unmute, Pat.
All right, cool. And guys, that is the show tonight. Everybody had a lot of fun. Derrick Richardson, Derrick Richards. Richards. That was his name. That was the guy on the show. So, Jesus Christ, Tilly. All right, guys. So that is going to be the wrap up for the prison pizza. Sorry. So that's going to be the wrap up for.
Okay. The second that Tilly comes in Jay Marsh's screen, which is going to be in 5 seconds, that's when you cut the feed. Okay.
Okay. Ready?
That's how we'll end it this week.
4, 3, 2, 1. Deuces.
And thank you for watching the Prison Pizza Podcast.
Hey.
Prison City Podcast. What are you talking about?